Okay, everybody, let's welcome Peter Uihlein from 4Aces GC, Talor Gooch from Range Goats GC, and Charles Howell III from Crushers GC. Okay, we are joined by 3 OSU Cowboys hailing from America's #1 golf school. Collectively up here, we have 3 LIV Golf individual wins and a team championship. So the first question I want to ask you guys is, what is in the water at OSU?
I wasn't a part of any of those there.
The team championship?
No, well,
Oh, you're 4
that was Taylor,
now.
yeah, so that's cool.
How many times have you been asked what's in the water in Stillwater?
Yes, exactly. The fear of disappointing Coach Holder. That's what's in the water in Stillwater.
Tell us a little bit about how your time at OSU prepared you for life on LIV Golf or as a professional golfer.
I think all of us went to OSU because of the people that played there before us. I mean, I know I looked up to Bob Tway and Scott Verplank and Willie Wood and that whole generation. I think we all chose to go to Oklahoma State for one reason. That's the golf. And was lucky enough to play for Mike Holder. And, I mean, it's obviously it's a very golf-centric school and time there. But, I think they always make you feel special there, but, you're there to compete.
Peter, Taylor, you guys crossed over 1 year there together. Tell us a little bit about your time together there and if you have any fun little anecdotes or memories for us.
We called him Moose because every time he'd be running in sprints, it sounded like a damn moose was chasing us because he was so far behind us. That was his nickname.
Golly. How do you top that one? Part of my story, I'm from Oklahoma, obviously. Said that a million times now. But it was so cool seeing, the Charles Howells and the Peter Uihleins and the Morgan Hoffmans, all these people from outside of Oklahoma who decided to come to Oklahoma State to play golf. And, as a kid from Oklahoma, when you see that, it's like, there's a reason for that. And to have the chance to be an Oklahoma State Cowboy was something that you're not going to pass up. And so you want to go there, you want to add to the legacy of it, not only while you're there, but when you finish and turn, to professional golf, it still has a great, history of Oklahoma State golfers that have had great careers, at the professional level. And you just want to add to it. You feel like you've been a small part of something bigger than yourself, and it's cool to add to the history of Oklahoma State.
Do you guys anticipate seeing a lot of orange in the crowd this week cheering you all on?
I would certainly think so. Yeah. I hope so. I know we've given out a lot of tickets.
Yeah, I think there'll be more orange than red this week, I think.
Yep.
That's great. Taylor, just one more for you. You're kind of the hometown hero this week. You've done a lot of stuff this week for your foundation, the Talor Gooch Foundation. For those who don't know everything you've done this week, can you tell us a little bit about the Talor Gooch Foundation and what you've done to raise money for your community?
Yeah, so a couple years back, my wife and I started a foundation, and, being from Oklahoma, we wanted to focus on the local community, both, Oklahoma City and Tulsa. And, we had our second annual foundation tournament. Last year we had it the Monday after the PGA Championship that was at Southern Hills here in Tulsa. And so this Monday we had our second annual one here at Cedar Ridge, and it was a fantastic day, and we raised a bunch of money, and a few of the organizations that we partner with, Hope is Alive is one of them, Positive Tomorrows is another one. They both had some representatives here to kind of give people further insight into what they do and how we have kind of helped impact their organizations and helped give specifically families and children opportunities to do things that they weren't given, and so fortunately we had a bunch of pros come out and help out, and the support not only from the pros within LIV Golf, but the local community, LIV Golf, the media, everyone has really rallied around this week, and for me it's been really cool and really special, and I'm definitely ready now though to get the tournament going.
Great. Well, I'm going to kick it over to Mike McAllister.
Hey, you guys touched on this a little bit, but I was hoping to kind of have you guys take me back to the recruitment process coming out of high school, kind of what the story was like, what other schools you might have considered, who was the most influential person or people that helped you make a decision to go to OSU. Charles?
Yeah, so I was between the University of Georgia, Georgia Tech, and Oklahoma State would be. I think, when you make a decision to go across the country to play golf for Mike Holder, you're really making a commitment to play golf and professional golf. And it was something I wanted to do. I wasn't sure if I could handle him, to be quite honest. You've heard all the stories and whatnot. But, it was 3 awesome years. And, talked to a lot of people. I remember having some conversations with Bob Tway on the phone, not from a recruitment point of view, but more from a, what does he expect? What are we getting into? If you had to do it all over again, what would you do? Things of that nature. And I think the history and the tradition of it makes it easy to ultimately decide to go there with the success that Oklahoma State's had and hopefully continues to have.
Peter?
So I grew up a pretty big Duke basketball fan, and I remember sitting around the couch asking my dad, like, what was the equivalent to, like, Duke basketball for college golf, and he said Okie State. So at that point, I just kind of became a fan, and that's kind of where I always wanted to go. Love tradition, love history, love, the excellence that they bring, and to be able to make a mark on, the university from, a playing standpoint is, if you can, you're basically a small fish in a big pond, and if you can leave your mark there, you've done something really well. So that, and tied with all the, the history that goes into it, former players. I went to high school with the Leon brothers and Jonathan Moore, and then looked up to Charles and Bo Van Pelt, Scotty V, and so those guys you just kind of get close to and become friends with. And so Okie State was just kind of always, I looked at other schools, but I was always going to go there. So
Was it much of a cultural shift going from a coastal New England town to...
Yeah. I remember when I left Stillwater, they were getting jacked. They had an Olive Garden coming in, so it's. I think they got like a Sprouts now, so they've expanded.
Taylor, was it a pretty easy decision? Did you consider any other school? Did OU come after you at all?
No, it was an easy decision. Really, from the first time so my coach, my first 3 years was Mike McGraw, and first time I had any interaction with him was when I was in 8th grade. And so, I was 14 or whatever at the time. And so when I saw that, you see the Swinging Pete on the hat and thinking, I have an opportunity to do this. I'm going to do whatever I can to make sure, I get a spot on the team. And so I made other schools feel like I might have a chance of going there so I could get some free football tickets out of it. But it was always going to be Oklahoma State.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Question for Talor Gooch. Considering the USGA has restricted you from being in the U.S. Open, that means that the U.S. Open is not going to have a fully stacked field. And I want to know, historically, how is that going to affect LeBron's legacy?
I mean, we are going to be in L.A. If he's still playing, in the playoffs, that might be an interesting week. The legacy, that's a great discussion. We could go even further into that. But I mean, are you a LeBron guy?
No,
I asked that on purpose. God.
This question's for Peter. You're a big Titleist guy. I think your dad owns the company or something.
Nope.
Why do you think that they won't work with us?
So he's been retired for a while. So that's a great question.
That's a great question. Why Pete? Why not?
I'm no longer affiliated with them, so they can
just look at his hat.
Yeah, I got nothing for you. I'm sorry.
Okay, is it just like frank@titleist.com, or is there a good
just
email?
try that. See if it works.
All right, thank you.
Go with Cushnet Golf, and then you might hit something.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Hey guys, Teddy Fenton, luckiest golfers on earth. Charles, the question's for you. You had a big role in bringing LIV Golf to this golf course. Can you talk about what that process was and the pitch that you made to the powers that be here to have LIV play here?
So Taylor and I had a conversation back in October in Bangkok when we were playing the event there about a LIV event coming to Oklahoma. And obviously I relied much heavily on Taylor, who's from here, who knows the golf courses in the areas better than I do. And that kind of started our conversation and started the conversation with LIV and those that, help with the scheduling. And approached a few different clubs in Oklahoma. I think, ideally you want an Oklahoma City or Tulsa area, which we were able to do. And I think what it boils down to, and I mean Taylor can speak to this, is Oklahoma are massive sports fans, and on top of that, they're massive golf fans. And the years that we've played the PGA Championship at Southern Hills, we've had massive galleries. We've had also senior events at Oak Tree with massive galleries. So I knew it would work well. I know they like their golf, and I know we have 6 players on LIV that played college golf here. So you had Abraham Ancer at OU, then 5 of us at OSU. So that's 1/8 of the entire tour has a tie here. So I thought that was an important deal, and you couldn't write a better script with Taylor winning the previous 2 events, coming back into his home state. So it's all worked out really well for us. I hope everybody has a wonderful week here. I think the fan support will be good, and hopefully we can come back. So, thank you.
Taylor, how do you not get distracted by all the external stuff? Going for the three-peat in your home state, all the USGA stuff, I know they were joking about it, but it has to be tasking on you. And obviously the major next week, how do you make sure you're focused on golf? Because that's a lot of stuff going on around.
Hey, listen, it's our job. It's pretty easy to get locked in. If this game was easier, I might be able to, be distracted and not worry about the golf. But, man, golf's hard enough. At the end of the day, there's nothing given to you with it. And so you got to put the work in. When it comes game time, there's nothing that's you're not gonna just make birdies by showing up. So, man, it's how I've built my life is how are we going to get better this week? How are we going to get better today? And so, I'm grateful for all of the external stuff, all the extra stuff going on, because, that means there's a bunch of good things that are happening. And so I will sleep pretty good each night this week after the last few days with everything going on. But it's a blessing and an opportunity to like Charles said, we want to have an event here in Oklahoma as often as we can, and so I want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to make it a great week, not only for the players or the fans, the media, everyone in between. So, yeah, hey, this golf course is not easy. Golf's not easy, so none of us want to show up and not play well. And at the end of the day, that's the most important part. I've said it a few times now. I call it the rule of 67. You focus on shooting 67s, everything will take care of itself.
And then Peter and Charles, I was going to ask you guys, since you're playing some of the best golf of your career, does it ever cross your mind, or do you feel disrespected at all by your official world golf ranking? And how much, do you guys actually think about that?
You can answer that. Go for it.
So I think all of us are at different stages in our career. I had 23 years on the PGA Tour, and I feel kind of rejuvenated to come out here. It's a bit of a new life and a second wind. Being around all the young guys, all the young guys out here pushes me. The World Golf Ranking System, obviously, I think it needs some tweaking. I think we've put together good enough fields and events and that are deserving of world ranking points. Obviously, that's starts a big debate and a longer one. But I think quite simply put, I think we're deserving of world ranking points. And if not, then I think there needs to be some other form of criteria, not just for me, but for the next generation, next guys coming up, to play their way into major championships.
Peter, you have anything to add to that?
Verbatim.
Okay.
You did great.
Anyone else over there? Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, a question for all you guys. Looks like in the forecast going to have some rain coming in. It'd definitely be off and on here or there. And in particular, TG, it seems like a shot that you've been hitting a lot, and your wins has been that kind of low bullet 3-wooder out of any club. Will y'all's course strategy change depending on how the weather, and if so, how will it?
So I got a quick little side story. So at Carson Creek, my freshman year, national championship was there, and this guy hits as good of a stinger as anyone. And Coach McGraw and Coach Braden went to a few of the tee boxes where there was some native grass around the tee boxes and kind of trimmed it a little bit lower in the front so that neither of ours, but especially his, would not clip the grass. So, yeah, but I think, the three of us know how to play in this wind pretty good.
It was windy around Mexico.
Yeah, it
Charles
was.
did all right there.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I think we're not going to be upset if there's a little bit of wind this week.
Peter? Well,
No, I prefer playing in the wind. I don't like when it's calm and it's like a shootout. I prefer when it's windy and you got to work the ball a bit. So hopefully the rain doesn't kind of hit us. Usually, I just remember when it came out of the north, it was bad here, but it's the south. I feel like this time of year was tornadoes. I don't really remember there being storms.
Yeah, this is the time of year.
Who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah.
But I remember tornadoes this time, but
Yeah.
Yeah, Peter, with all the differences on the LIV Tour versus the PGA Tour, like the shorts and stuff like that, what are your favorite things that you've noticed from the switch?
shorts. I don't get fined if I untuck my shirt. That helps. Pace of play. I like all that. I like the music, all that stuff. I like all of it. Just very comfortable out here. I like the team aspect, and everyone's been great, and it's been a lot of fun. So.
And Taylor, your dad told me this week that you love when the crowd is rowdy. Have you found that they've been pretty rowdy, and you expect them to be pretty loud and into it this weekend?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's golf but louder, right? We kind of laugh at times. There's a few of the volunteers that will have like the little signs that say like be quiet or something like that, and we're like, that kind of doesn't add up right here. But no, I mean it's great. At the end of the day, all of us golfers love sports, and golf is unique to most other sports in that the fans can't get rowdy, can't get crazy often, and so kind of chauffeuring some of this new style of fans and the way that you can come out here and you don't have to feel like you're walking on eggshells as a fan, and it's an event, right? There's music. I mean, we can hear the music now. There's fan zones around here. And that's why I keep telling people I'm excited for Oklahomans to have the opportunity to come out and see what a cool sporting event LIV Golf is. So yeah, we all love it, and it's an opportunity for us to feel like like sportsmen rather than just golfers.
Charles, I want to know what your favorite Mike Holder story is.
Eligible for print. My gosh. I will say this, like there's obviously a lot of stories that go to obviously extreme crazy things, but I'd say the one thing I took away from him was when I went into school, I was a bit intimidated, a bit nervous. I didn't quite know, like, am I good enough to be here? Can I, whatever. And I think the one thing I took from him is if you're willing to work hard, he would literally stay on the driving range with you until dark to help you. And I've got many, many times of that with him that, Coach Holder really put in me like the effort and the process that goes into it. He cared much more about than the end result. And I think going into school, I kind of thought it was the flip-flop of that with him. But actually getting there and watching, how much he helped us, how much he cared about the work and effort we put into it. I think that's things I've carried with me on through. I mean, obviously there was plenty of moments when we'd get on to us and whatnot, but that was one of the best things I've taken from him.
Taylor, I got the chance to spend some time with some of your Range Goats teammates, and they were talking about just the ribbing, the trash talking amongst each other. In the last year or so, we've really found out how you guys as professional golfers are friends. I mean, yes, you're out here battling it out, but can you talk about from the team aspect of ribbing each other and getting on to each other and how that's now part of what this circuit is? And Peter and Charles, you can talk about it for your respective teams.
Sounds like Harold.
It was.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, hey, again, like I was just saying, I grew up playing, different sports, and, in professional golf up to this point, there wasn't really that locker room feel because you didn't really have teammates, right? And so it's fun having teammates that, like I said, you can talk some trash to, but you can also hold accountable, that you can try to push to be better, and be pushed to be better. And so it's for someone, that loves sports and, grew up playing football, baseball, basketball. I love the locker room feel. I love having people that are going to hold you accountable. And so, yeah, that's been great. And it's obviously fun, when you have someone like a Harold out there, talking trash to not only his own teammates, but everyone. He just brings a great energy to LIV and to our team. And, yeah, hey, the locker room feel that we have here is unlike anything in professional golf, and I love it.
Pete, I have a feeling there's a lot of trash talking going on the 4 Aces. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. Pat's not short of words, is he? He's great, though. I love hanging out with. I mean, Taylor saw it last year, Pat Perez and P. Reed, and they once those two boys get going, they don't really stop. And then DJ's the quietest one of us all, I think. So it's fun. It's a good dynamic. So we have a good time.
Taylor, I know we talked. You played here in the USAM. Peter, you were in that field as well. Charles, have you played here before?
Yes, never in competition, but
okay,
yes.
Okay, so can we just go down the line and get your thoughts on the course? Maybe you guys can hit on maybe what's different or the same from when you were here 15 years ago or whatever.
They switched the nines, right?
Yeah.
So I remember the 12th. We're playing as a 12th hole, but it's that short little. I guess I remember that hole being early on, that little one. That was the only one I remembered. I just remember it being a quirky hole. It still is. So you have to hit like 4 or 5 iron off the tee, and they added some flag poles, I think, to not let us try and drive the green. I still tried it yesterday, but it didn't work. And but yeah, I remember it being good shape. I remember it being tough. A lot of every time I come back to Oklahoma, I forget all the elevation. There's a decent amount of elevation here always, and so yeah, that's kind of what I remember a bit. And so it should be a good test.
Yeah, I mean, so when I played the USAM here, I think I was like 16 or 17 years old, and I just remember thinking, I need to get better because these golf courses are hard, I shot this. I vividly remember shooting 77 at Southern Hills the first round, and then I think I shot like 67 or 68 here, and I think I hit like 5 or 6 greens. It was like the epitome of the 16-year-old that just makes everything he looks at. So I'll see if I can try to channel some of that 16-year-old me again.
Yeah, I played here quite a few times with Bo Van Pelt, who I played 1 year with, and obviously he lives in the Tulsa area. And golf course really good, a lot of crosswinds. Obviously the defense is the wind, but it will blow. And yeah, you don't really get a lot of holes like straight down or straight into. You get some quirkiness. It's got a couple of good par 3s on it. Throw in a couple of the par 5s to par 4s, obviously, as well. So yeah, it's a tough test, but I'd say that the crosswinds of it is probably the biggest part of it.
Okay, over there.
Just for all the golfers, the OSU fraternity, we know how tight it is. When you see someone like Eugenio, young golfer, what advice do you give to him as he enters his first year, and how much do you see him being that next generation for the sport?
I think he's a heck of a player. Obviously, he's already won on LIV. Typical Spanish, emotional, passionate, can complain, and you know where you stand with him. He doesn't hide much. No, I absolutely love him. He's going to be a hell of a player. I've often thought, like, what it must be like to start your professional career on LIV. Like, this is, like, I can assure you we all didn't, And so one of my first events as a pro was a John Deere Classic. I think the purse was $2.5 million, the whole purse. And first prize is $1.5 million more than that now. So, yeah, it's if I had his talent starting here, I'd be a happy guy.
Yeah, I mean, he got thrown into the fire, right out the gate. You're kind of learning by trial and error, and so all of us are obviously going to always help give advice and advise. And I think each one of us has had such different, unique paths in our career that we're all going to give different advice, right? And so, but like Charles said, he's a stud. He's going to figure it out. He has figured a lot of it out already, and it's the journey that the professional golf career is, that you got to go through it to learn what makes you better, what gets you going. And, none of us can really teach that to someone or advise someone on that. You got to kind of go through it yourself, but we're always here to lend advice and give a helping hand to everyone. I mean, Charles, it's been like a mentor to me ever since, I became a professional golfer, and especially, once I got to the PGA Tour. Ironically, I first played professional golf round with Charles at Mayakoba my rookie year. Yep. And so, he put his arm around me and said, Tuesday, 7 a.m. every week, come to the first tee and come play a practice round. So, it's cool having people like Charles, and Bo Van Peltz and Bob Tway and Scott Verplank. Is part of what makes Oklahoma State great is you have these, people that have done it, and you get to ask them questions and learn.
Yeah, I mean, Gino's got all the talent in the world, hits it unbelievable, and I like the team that he's on. I think, being with Sergio and Abe and Carlos, I think that's a good fit for him, and, they can kind of take him under his wing a little bit. And Sergio's obviously one of the best players, and just being able to practice and play with him all the time will be really great for his development. And thrilled for him, excited for him. Hope he keeps it going.
Just have one follow-up to that. So when you guys were at OSU, you only really had one option, right, to go to the PGA Tour. Now there's obviously two options. Do you think guys that are playing on the college golf team now are thinking, hey, I hope I can get a spot on LIV?
I would think so.
I went to Europe right away, though, so at that time there was another option.
I thought it was cool. I forget who told me this, but they were like, in Australia, there was such a great crowds, and there were so many kids out there, and it was the first time when someone said, there's going to be kids that haven't seen professional golf, and they're going to walk away from LIV Adelaide and think, I want to go play for the Aces, or I want to go play for Smash, or whoever. And so to me, that was cool to think, kids are going to want to grow up watching, because until this point, the PGA Tour was it, right? And so it's pretty cool to think that we're a part of something that kids are going to aspire to be and aspire to come and take our spots, and so that was cool to me. So there's no doubt that Oklahoma State, there's going to be kids coming through that are going to want to be the next Charles Howell on LIV, going to want to be the next Petey on LIV, and that's cool.
That's awesome. Thank you guys so much. Good luck this week. Enjoy the hometown support.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.